impossible to ignore. A door suddenly opening, an answer arriving at your door. You kept waiting for a breakthrough to prove that God was near, but the silence felt so heavy, and the waiting turned to fear. So you started asking questions you never thought you'd ask before. Then in the middle of your doubts, a gentle whisper said, what if I've been here all along? God has been closer than you thought, and every moment you survived, and every morning you kept going when you barely felt alive. God has been closer than you thought, and every prayer you thought went unheard, and every tear that hit the floor, and every unspoken word. You thought God's presence would feel louder, like thunder in the sky, but sometimes He comes in mercy, helping you make it through the night. You thought the miracle was coming somewhere far down the road, while heaven was already carrying the weight you couldn't hold. And maybe the reason you're still standing isn't because you were strong. Maybe grace has been carrying you for much longer than you realize. God has been closer than you thought. In every moment you survived, in every morning you kept going when you barely felt alive. God has been closer than you thought, in every prayer you thought went unheard, in every tear that hit the floor, in every unspoken word. What if the miracle wasn't the answer? What if the miracle was your survival? What if God's hand was never absent, just invisible? What if every time you thought you were alone, He was sitting beside you? In the silence, God has been closer than you thought, closer than the fear inside your head, closer than the loneliness waiting beside your bed. God has been closer than you thought. So tonight you can finally stop searching everywhere else, because the God you've been looking for has been right here. Not ahead of you, not behind you, right here the whole time. You saw an old picture tonight and barely recognized your smile. There was something in your eyes back then that feels so far away now. Back when laughing came easy, back when hope came naturally, before the weight of all these years settled so heavily. And for a moment you wondered what happened to that version of me. Then a gentle whisper found you in the middle of the memory. You're not gone, you're still becoming. You miss the person you used to be, the lightness that lived inside your heart. But God is not trying to take you backward. He's creating a brand new start. You miss the person you used to be, but your story didn't end back then. The same God who walked with you before is walking with you again. Life has a way of changing people. When the losses begin to add up, when prayers take longer than expected, when the road starts getting rough, you've learned things you never wanted to learn, felt pain you never planned to feel, and somewhere along the journey, joy stopped feeling real. But flowers don't bloom forever, neither do storms. Every season changes, even this one. You miss the person you used to be, the lightness that lived inside your heart. But God is not trying to take you backward. He's creating a brand new start. You miss the person you used to be, but your story didn't end back then. The same God who walked with you before is walking with you again. What if you're not meant to become who you were before? What if God is creating someone even stronger? Someone with deeper faith, deeper compassion, and a deeper understanding of His life. You miss the person you used to be, but maybe the best version isn't behind. Maybe the person God is shaping now will shine even brighter in time. You miss the person you used to be, but heaven is not finished with your heart. And the pieces you thought were broken are becoming works of art. You haven't lost yourself, you've just been growing, and God is still writing the beautiful parts ahead. You walked into the room tonight, and everybody smiled at you. You're the one they always count on, the one who somehow makes it through. You listened to their problems, you gave the best advice you could. You told them things would get better, and for them, maybe it would. But nobody noticed your tired eyes, nobody saw the weight you brought in. Because sometimes the strongest person in the room is the one hurting the most. The strongest person in the room is hurting too, hurting too. Carrying battles nobody knows, smiling through conversations while silently coming undone. The strongest person in the room is hurting too, but God can see beneath the disguise. He sees the pain behind the courage and the tears behind your eyes. You spent so long being dependable, you forgot how to ask for help. You spent so long holding others up, you never learned to need someone else. Now every day feels heavier, every night feels twice as long, and you're getting tired of pretending that everything is still okay. But heaven never asked you to carry the world on your shoulders. The strongest person in the room is hurting too, carrying battles nobody knows, smiling through conversations while silently coming undone. The strongest person in the room is hurting too, but God can see beneath the disguise. He sees the pain behind the courage and the tears behind your eyes. What if being strong doesn't need hiding? What if being strong means letting God in? What if courage isn't carrying everything? What if courage is surrendering? What if tonight you stop trying to save yourself and let grace carry you instead? Strongest person in the room is hurting too. God has been sitting beside your pain through every sleepless night, through every silent breakdown. Strongest person in the room is hurting too. But you don't have to carry this alone anymore, because the God who holds the stars is standing at your door. You don't have to be the strong one tonight. You don't have to have all the answers. Just rest. God understands. The hardest battles that you fight don't leave a bruise, don't leave a scar. Nobody sees them when they happen. Nobody knows how hard they are. You wake up and the war begins before your feet touch the floor. The same fears knocking at your heart, the same thoughts at your door. And you're exhausted from a battle you never chose to face. Then a quiet voice found you before the fear could speak again. You're not fighting by yourself. Nobody sees what you're fighting every day. Every day, the thoughts that keep you up at night, the fear that follows you around, the struggle hidden out of sight. Nobody sees what you're fighting every day. Every day, but God has watched every round, and the reason you haven't fallen is because He's been holding you down. You smile when people ask how you doing. You say the same familiar line, I'm okay. But deep inside you're carrying questions you don't know how to describe. You're tired of overthinking, tired of expecting the worst, tired of feeling like peace always comes second to hurt. But the voice inside your head is not the voice inside God's heart. Nobody sees what you're fighting every day. Every day, the thoughts that keep you up at night, the fear that follows you around, the struggle hidden out of sight. Oh, nobody sees what you're fighting every day. Every day, but God has watched every round, and the reason you haven't fallen is because He's been holding you down. What if every time you survive the day you thought would break you, God was proving something? What if you're stronger than the fear wants you to believe? What if peace is closer than the anxiety says it is? No, nobody sees what you're fighting every day, but heaven knows exactly where you are. Every silent prayer, every hidden scar. Nobody sees what you're fighting every day, but God has never left your side. And the battle is so tired of fighting will not define your life. The war in your mind is not the end of your story. Keep holding on. God is closer than the fear. didn't wake up and lose your hope. It disappeared little by little like smoke. One disappointment after another, one prayer that felt delayed, one more night asking God why things still haven't changed. Now you're tired in a way sleep can't fix, and nobody notices, because you've learned how to hide it so well. You don't realize how close you are to breaking, how long you've carried all this pain, how many times you've smiled in public, then cried on the way home again. You don't realize how close you are to breaking, but God sees the weight you couldn't explain, and He's been holding pieces together. You thought we're slipping away. You're not afraid of one bad day, you're afraid of 10 more just like this. You're afraid the things you've been praying for might never exist. You're tired of encouraging yourself, tired of trying to stay strong, tired of pretending faith feels easy when it's felt hard for so long. And lately you've stopped asking for big miracles, just enough strength to make it through tomorrow. Then in the silence, a whisper reached your soul. I know exactly where you are. You don't realize how close you are to breaking, how long you've carried all this pain, how many times you smiled in public, then cried on the way home again. You don't realize how close you are to breaking, but God sees the weight you couldn't explain, and He's been holding pieces together. You thought we're slipping away. What if the reason you're exhausted is because you've been fighting alone? Oh, what if God never asked you to carry all of this by yourself? What if tonight, instead of trying harder, you simply let Him stay beside you? You don't realize how close you are to breaking, but you also don't realize how close God is, closer than the fear, closer than the hurt, closer than the questions you can't answer. You don't Not all at once, but day by day. A little less faith every morning, a little more doubt along the way. You still pray before you sleep, you still try to believe it's true. But lately those prayers feel heavier than they used to. And you're scared to admit how tired you've become, because everyone expects you to keep believing, even when you're barely holding on. You're running out of hope, aren't you? Tired of waiting for the sky to clear, tired of carrying silent questions year after year. You're running out of hope, aren't you? But God can see what nobody knows, the nights you've almost stopped believing, and the courage it took to keep going. You remember when faith felt simple, when trust came naturally, before disappointment became something you knew so deeply. Now every unanswered prayer feels heavier than the last, and you're afraid the future might look too much like the past. Still somehow you keep showing up. Maybe that's because a small piece of hope never actually left. You're running out of hope, aren't you? Tired of waiting for the sky to clear, tired of carrying silent questions year after year. You're running out of hope, aren't you? But God can see what nobody knows, the nights you've almost stopped believing, and the courage it took to keep going. What if hope isn't the feeling you've been looking for? What if hope is simply waking up and trying one more time? What if faith is uncertainty? What if faith is staying even when you don't understand? What if that's exactly what you've been doing? You're running out of hope, aren't you? Yeah, but heaven hasn't run out of you. The God who watched you survive yesterday will help you survive this too, yeah. Aren't you? Then let God hold the hope for now, until your tired heart remembers what it feels like somehow. Maybe you're not as far gone as you think. Maybe the fact you're still listening means hope is still alive. make it through the day. Nobody knows how many nights you stared into the dark, trying to find a little peace inside your tired heart. You keep telling yourself, just get through today, but lately even that feels harder to say. And somewhere between exhaustion and another sleepless night, you started wondering if anybody sees your fight. Nobody knows how much you're holding in, how close you've come to giving up, how many times you've asked God why while trying to stay tough. Nobody knows how much you're holding in, but heaven has been watching every tear, and the God who knows your breaking point has been standing right here. You're tired of carrying sadness that doesn't seem to leave, tired of telling yourself tomorrow will be easier to believe. You become so used to surviving, you forgot what living feels like. So used to carrying the burden, you forgot what peace feels like. And every day you wonder how much longer you can do this. Then a whisper touched your spirit, soft enough to miss. You were never supposed to carry this alone. Nobody knows how much you're holding in, how close you've come to giving up, how many times you've asked God why while trying to stay tough. And the God who knows your breaking point has been standing right here. What if the strongest thing you do tonight is stop pretending? What if the bravest prayer sounds like, I can't do this anymore? What if God isn't waiting for you to become stronger? What if he's waiting for you to let him in? Nobody knows how much you're holding in, but God knows every hidden scar, every prayer you couldn't finish, every wound beneath your heart. Nobody knows how much you're holding in. So tonight you can finally let it go, because the God who carried you this far won't let you walk alone. You don't have to explain your pain, you don't have to hide your tears. God already knows, and he's still here. Every wrong turn, every failure, every door that closed. You keep a list inside your mind of everything you wish you'd done. And somehow all your victories disappear the moment you remember one. Another reason you think you're not enough. Then in the middle of your self-judgment, a gentle whisper broke through. I don't see you the way you do. You're harder on yourself than God is. God is. You carry guilt He already let go. You keep standing in yesterday while He's calling you forward. You're harder on yourself than God is. God is. You keep measuring yourself by your scars, but God still sees the person He created, not just the broken parts. You expect perfection from a heart that's been through more than most. You punish yourself for struggling while carrying a hidden load. You compare yourself to everyone and somehow always lose, ignoring all the battles you've survived and all the mountains you've moved. You've forgotten how far you've already come, because pain has a way of making progress invisible. You're harder on yourself than God is. Ooh, God is. You carry guilt He already let go. You keep standing in yesterday while He's calling you forward. You're harder on yourself than God is. falls apart, the one who always has the answers, the one with the steady heart. You listen for hours to their problems, you help them carry the load. But when you're the one who's breaking, you walk that road alone. And lately you've been wondering something you've never said out loud. If you're always there for everyone, who is there for you? Who takes care of you, when you're tired of being strong, when you're lying awake at midnight trying to hold on? Who takes care of you, when nobody sees your pain, when you're pouring from an empty cup again and again? You've become so used to helping, you forgot how to receive. So used to caring everybody, you forgot what it means to breathe. You tell people God is faithful, you tell them they'll make it through. But lately you've been needing those same words for you, and somehow that feels harder than it should. Then in the middle of your exhaustion, a whisper reached your soul. I've been taking care of you all along. Who takes care of you, when you're tired of being strong, when you're lying awake at midnight trying to hold on? Who takes care of you, when nobody sees your pain, when you're pouring from an empty cup again and again? What if God sees every burden before you even speak it? What if He knows every tear before it reaches your eyes? What if the reason you survive everything that should have broken you is because His hands never let go? Who takes care of you, the God who never sleeps, the God who's been beside you through every battle you keep? Who takes care of you, the one who knows your heart by name, the one who loved you before the struggle and loves you exactly the same? Maybe you're not carrying yourself, maybe you never were, maybe grace has been holding you more than you've ever known. Haven't felt like yourself in a long time, not the version you used to know, the one who laughed without forcing it, the one who carried a lighter soul. Now every day feels different, like you're walking through a haze, trying to remember when life stopped feeling like it used to feel. And nobody really notices, but change inside your eyes. Then a quiet voice met you in the middle of the ache. I know exactly where you've been. You haven't felt like yourself in a long time, like somewhere along the road you got lost, trying to survive every storm without counting the cost. You haven't felt like yourself in a long time, but God has never lost sight of you. Even in the moments you stopped recognizing yourself too. Maybe it was the years of pain. Maybe it was carrying too much for too long without a break. Maybe it was the unanswered prayers or all the battles no one knew. But somewhere in the middle of surviving, you forgot how to be you. And that's the part nobody talks about when life gets hard. Change your heart. You haven't felt like yourself in a long time, like somewhere along the road you got lost, trying to survive every storm without counting the cost. You haven't felt like yourself in a long time, but God has never lost sight of you. Even in the moments you stop recognizing yourself.